I want you to envision a scenario with me. I want you to think about a young girl. She's the first. She is the first in her entire family to be born in the United States. And because of that, she is the first to navigate schooling in America. Now, at home, the language that is spoken is beautiful, it's full of passion. Stories are told with your whole body. But that's not how messages and communication occur at school among the adults and her classmates. At home, meals are complex, time consuming to prepare, usually served piping hot. Now, she loves plantain, but when her mom packs plantain for her to take to school for lunch, she wishes she had a Lunchable or a sandwich like her friends. She knows the cultural rules at home. She knows to only eat with your right hand, to never pass someone something else with the left hand. Some of you all know this rule. But that rule did not apply at school. She's tall, relatively, especially compared to her parents. And so her parents assume it's the American food. She needs glasses, unlike most people in her family. So again, they assume it's because she's born here. She's different. She's pretty unique. She is different from every generation that has come before her. And no generation that follows her will understand this experience. She is bouncing between two worlds, gently. The land of her parents' birth and the land of her own birth. She's just in the middle. She's often trying to understand who she is on both sides. She is different. She is unique. She was born here. She is me. And she has other children who were born to immigrant parents from around the world. So let me tell you a little bit more about who I am. My name is Dr. Mawule Sevon. I am a school psychologist, a behavior analyst, and a researcher seeking educational justice for Black children. But at my core, and most importantly, I am the eldest daughter to Togolese immigrants. So you may be wondering if I'm okay as the eldest daughter. I've recovered, I'm doing fine now. As a child of immigrants, being born here became a critical component of my identity, especially among my extended family and the larger West African community in Philadelphia. It often sometimes became a qualifier, an indicator of my Africanness. It would be a footnote next to my name, a little asterisk that said, "Note, she was born in America." It was a unique position to hold. I sat in between two worlds. I was never fully African enough and never fully American enough, just somewhere in the middle. But being in the middle gave me the opportunity to see the value in people's uniqueness, the value in people's experience, and it made me a better educator. And so while being West African is a salient part of my identity, I stand firmly in it. I have no choice. My name is Mawule. But I know that being born here is a critical component as well. When I talk about being born here, I'm not just talking about the location, the geography. I'm talking about the necessary components of my life that required me to navigate multiple experiences, multiple cultural narratives. For me, I had to make sure I understood the experience of Togo. I had to understand the cultural expectations, even though I was frequently reminded of them by family. I had to understand the mainstream American culture, and I was fully immersed in Blackness in America. See, as a Black person in America, there's this profound, beautifully rich cultural experience. And growing up Black in America, in particular in Philadelphia, it leads us towards a journey of seeking justice and liberation. And so when I talk about Blackness, I'm talking about this culture that is immersed in joy, resilience, and a pursuit of collective liberation. And so that has led me to my current work. being from Philadelphia, there is this culture of justice, of resistance. And so right now in my profession, I am moving towards educational justice in schooling for children. I want us to think about our students and when they enter school buildings. Are we recognizing that being one of few comes with the power of representation? Are we recognizing that we are harming students when we require them to make parts of themselves, parts of their family, and parts of their community small? Are we asking them to reduce the legacy that lives within them? Currently, when we think about schooling, there are times we are requiring students to present the same way, to behave the same way, and to speak the same way. And when they don't conform, we engage in punitive practices that are harmful. We all thrive when our children are able to be their full selves, out loud. We all suffer when people are required to make parts of themselves invisible. And so when I talk about invisible, I'm not referring to what you're able to see. I'm following in line with the Black literature and the Black scholars who have talked about the marginalization and the erasure of people's experiences, rendering them invisible. I'm talking about the ways we engage in the reduction of people's humanity and how this behavior, these patterns occur in schools. And so I want us to think about little Mawule again, that little girl. And one day she's in second grade, and someone says something to her that she does not like. It's about being African. If you are African, you probably can guess what was said. I'm not going to share it. But whatever you're thinking it probably was that. And so she goes home and she tells her mom. She's in second grade, so children still do that in second grade. And her mom sends her back to school with literature. You see why I'm here now as a scholar. So when my mom first came to the United States, she worked in the Togo embassy in New York City. And in the embassy, there was access to pamphlets, magazines, brochures about Togo, about our history, our culture, and how beautiful the land was. And so we had these all around our house when I was growing up. And so this is the publication she sent me back to school with. I'm not a confrontational person, and so I ignored her advice. Sorry. But the lesson was not lost on me. The lesson was that there's strength in my visibility, that it's critical for me to show up all of the time. And even when someone is saying something that I might find harmful, that I should still stand firm in who I am. All of me, my Africanness and my Blackness should show up. And I should take space where I am. And so when we think about our students, I'm curious if we've thought about who they are and how they are showing up in our schools. Because right now, we're not allowing them to actually show up. We're not giving them the space to fully be there. And I think about this lesson my mom wanted me to have. And I think before and after she sent me to school with that pamphlet, she wanted to make sure that I understood the strength in my visibility and how critical it was for me as a young child. So if you ever meet my mom, you will notice that she is fairly small in stature, especially compared to me, but she is a big, bold presence. She is West African out loud, unapologetically. She does not reduce herself for anyone. And I think she wanted the same for my brothers and I. She wanted us to understand that we should boldly be ourselves. But I'm not sure she understood how that would change my work so profoundly. How it would follow in the legacy of Black people who have fought for educational access. How it would use my ability to understand unique experiences to welcome students in educational spaces. How I would stand up and use my voice out loud to talk about students and what they deserve in schooling. So when I think about my journey, my experience, my life, I know that it is shaping how I walk into every school building, how I join in every classroom, and it sits right next to me when I make decisions about children in meetings. It is a part of me and is a part of every educator that works in a school. And so I want us to leave this conversation with two important things. One, appreciating and valuing the visibility of our students. And two, making sure that we as educators remain visible. So one, appreciating and valuing the visibility of our students. I can recall times in my educational experience where I felt fully affirmed. I graduated from two HBCUs, the oldest in the United States and the oldest in the state of Maryland. And it was at those institutions where I felt the most visible, the most affirmed, the most safe to be who I am. I was able to take risks, share my thoughts, share my ideas, and I was fully affirmed for who I am. I can also recall educational spaces that were not this safe, where I did not feel this level of safety. And I did not feel as comfortable sharing my thoughts and perspectives. So when I think about my life, particularly my educational experiences, I often wonder, would I be as comfortable using my voice for justice as I am now if I did not attend a historically Black university for undergrad and my school psychology graduate training? Would I be able to practice in a way that was bound to liberation as I do now? I honestly don't think so. And then the second thing I want you to remember is maintaining your own visibility as educators. We should always remain visible as educators. We know representation is important in schooling, but you also need to know who you are. As I mentioned, I had a journey that I had to explore my identity, the complexity of my identity, how it differed from everyone else around me, even the people in my family, and how my identity is probably shared by some of my students. We also have to acknowledge our own biases. We know biases show up in school and create harmful educational environments for our students. Are we looking at that? Are we examining that? Are we making sure that that isn't showing up in class? And if it is, we've done the work to change those biases? That's a critical component of the work we need to do. And so I want us to think again, one more time, this is the last time, about little Mawule and her experience in school. She actually provided value for the students who sat next to her in class every day. She did them a favor. They should be thanking me, actually. But in honesty, they helped me as well. They made me a better educator. Their experiences, sharing them with me, living out loud, being fully visible, helped me be a better educator. As we ate lunch, as we shared stories, as we had conversations, as we learned together, we all learned from one another. And so I want us to remember that it is important for us to welcome our students into our classrooms and their full selves and the legacy that lives within them. But it's also important to remember we should show up all of the time. I am grateful for the experiences I've had having a mother who modeled showing up and showing out, taking up space, using your voice unapologetically. Because with that lesson and her teaching me the importance of my visibility will be a legacy. And I will use that visibility to disrupt harming in schooling. And another little girl will see that, and she will take the torch towards educational justice. And she will be the one who leads us to a better world. And so I want us to think about our actions, our voice, our presence. All of that is igniting a torch to change. All of that is moving us towards a better world. And so I have a question for you all. What legacy will you ignite starting today? Thank you.